Hello you lot, how's it going? Now MP9s, they're quite popular at the moment. I've never really heard a lot of people talk about them a lot, but now it seems everyone's asking me questions about MP9s. And one of the questions was, how do you tune an MP9? Well, luckily my one has got the standard engine in it at the moment, so we can do a bit of a tune-up with the standard engine. The standard engine being the KE21. Hopefully it's going to play game with us, play ball with us, and everything will be alright. I've got it heating up. We'll have a little play around, we'll get it warmed up. And one of the most important things before you do any tuning is to warm it up. So the engine must be at running temperature before you do any kind of tuning. You can do minute ones just to get it to run, so it'll actually run up to running temperature, but you need to get the engine warmed up to running temperature or operating temperature before you do any actual tuning or anything like that. So the engine heater's on there now because the temperature outside today is quite nippy. I think it's about -2 degrees Celsius, somewhere around there. It's been raining as well, so probably a little bit icy, but there we go. We'll get it warmed up and then we'll have a look and see if we can. I'll get the tune where it's really shit. I'll probably warm it up and then I'll get it really rich, as if it's probably just come out the box, something like that, and then we'll tune it from there, and I'll show you what it's like when it's rich, what it's like when it's lean, and hopefully you'll get an idea, and you'll have your MP9 perfect before you know it. Now what you got to do, once you've got it running, just drive it up and down a few times, just to get it up to temperature, get it warm, yeah? You ain't got to worry about no silly temperature guns, no silly temperatures. Don't let any idiot tell you you've got to keep measuring the temperature, because you ain't. Just drive it up and down, you'll know when it's warm. Now that it's warm, what I've done is I've richened this up. So you got to remember, that's the high speed, right, we'll start again in a minute. That's the high speed needle there, that top one there, that's the high speed needle. Always start with that one, okay? And then you've got the low speed, which is the one down there on the throttle. See that brass screw there, that golden coloured screw, that's a low speed needle. This engine doesn't have a mid-speed, but if it did, it'd be in there. So you always start with a high-speed needle by leaning that about 1/4 of a turn each time. Now you just keep doing that until it sounds about right, and you use the low speed needle for fine tuning after you've done the high speed, because although it is a high speed needle, it also governs the whole range of throttle from the low speed all the way up to high. But you know, and that's just the way it works. And then the low speed is for fine tuning on the low end. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense. I'll fire her up. I'll put you back on the parcel shelf on the car there, and I will run you through what I'm doing, but you need to look and listen more than anything else to see how the engine is changing in pitch and how it's changing. At the moment, as you can see from that needle there, it is extremely rich. I've richened it up, and if it goes any richer it probably won't run very well. So you'll see that, and then you'll see the progression as I start to tune it 1/4 of a turn each time. All you need for tuning any nitro engine really is a screwdriver, or you might need an Allen driver if you run a Nova engine, your ears, they're very important, your ears and your eyes, because you need to look for the smoke. Alright, there should be a constant stream of smoke. There is no right or wrong really, as long as there is some. I like a thick stream of smoke, so I run 25% nitro. That's what we're running now, for your reference. 25% nitro in this at the moment. A nice thick stream of smoke, and I like it to sound quite rough, like it's got a bit of a sore throat, you know, like a raspy throat. That's the way I like to tune them. So we'll listen for that and we'll watch for that, and you'll see the progression. So put you back on the parcel shelf and you'll see what I mean. Right, she's running, but she don't want to run well with this rich. That's how rich she is, right? Now the reason it's sluggish like that is because it's too rich. A lot of people make the mistake of saying this is lean. It's not. It's too much fuel getting into that engine and it can't burn it. That's why it's so sluggish, alright? It's rich. See, it's so rich, it struggles to run. So in this case, if your car's doing this, just lean it up, just slightly, quarter of a turn on that high-speed needle, and you'll notice it'll probably run a bit better, and you'll actually be able to, because at the moment you can't really drive it. So if you can't drive it, you can't tune it. So you need to get it to a drivable state before you can actually do the tuning. So that's what you need to do. So that's what you got to do. Quarter of a turn on the high speed. But it's quicker. You notice now it's quicker than it was. Still far too rich, but it's quicker than it was. We'll do another quarter of a turn on high speed. Another quarter of a turn on the high speed needle. See, it's still, at the moment the tick over is too low because it's too rich. I could higher the tick over, but I'm just going to keep on leaning it and we'll just work with that. If you want to, you can higher the tick over slightly, but you've got to remember, the richer the engine, the lower the tick over will be. As you start to lean the engine, you'll find the tick over will start to rise because there's less fuel, so the tick over will rise, but you've got to lower it with the tick over screw slightly just to balance it off. See, tuning a carbureted engine is all about balance. It's all about balance. You got to get the balance between tick over, high speed, high end fuel delivery and low end fuel delivery. You get the balance right, it will be perfect all across the board. That's what it's all about, balancing. Imagine it's like a set of scales, you know, you've got to get it right. Another quarter of a turn on the high speed now. Don't know whether I mentioned this, I just assumed that it was obvious. Turning the needle to lean it is clockwise, right, clockwise. Richening is anti-clockwise. You'll notice a considerable difference now. Considerable difference now. That's getting quicker and quicker every time now. Another quarter of a turn. Notice that tick over is getting higher and higher. You'll notice that. Another quarter of a turn on the high speed, see what happens now. We're getting close now, we're getting close. Notice the tick over is higher, it's raised itself, I haven't touched it. And it's sounding smoother and happier. You'll notice that. Little things. Engines, they need, you know, they're it's still not quite perfect, but it's getting there. A lot of people fanny around with them and they make out as if it's something special just to tune an engine. It ain't. It's back in the day you had to tune your own car, your car that you drove, you know, your actual car. If it was petrol, you had to do little adjustments on the carburetor anyway. It's just part of everyday life. There's nothing special about tuning a nitro engine. This is perfect. Now we've gone too far. This is good for me, not for you. You don't want this to happen, but it's good for me to show you. Now we're too lean. The high speed now is too lean. Watch. Listen for the sound. Alright, probably won't do it now. Probably on the borderline. Oh yeah, you can hear it. Listen for the hesitation. It's too lean. See, too lean now. Hope you can hear that. Too lean. I'm going to richen it up. Probably on the borderline now. I reckon that's on the borderline now, I'd say, which is where you want it. You want it on the borderline, but you want it edging slightly on the richer side. So imagine the line, imagine this is the line, you want it slightly on the richer side, yeah? Just, you don't want it on the leaner side because then it might be edging too lean if you go around a corner or a temperature change or something like that. You want it on the richer side. Might need to richen that just a tad. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we seem to have it. It's the tick over is still slightly too low. I need to adjust the tick over. I know that. A lot of you are probably going to jump down my throat and say, "Oh, tick over is too low." Just be patient. So the way we've got it at the moment is it seems to be fine on the high speed. The low speed could do with a slight adjustment, and the tick over could do with a slight adjustment. Now, the important thing to remember is once you've got it more or less where you need it, you shouldn't have to adjust it pretty much after. It's just weather dependent. So if the weather changes, if it gets colder, if it gets hotter, you might have to do small little adjustments here and there. A lot of people, they're always, every time they go out, they're always still tuning it. They spend all their time tuning the bloody thing. They don't actually go and enjoy it. So once you've had a little session out in the car park like this, you've got it more or less where you need it, where it needs to be. Just leave it alone and enjoy it. So I'm not going to talk to you too much now. You can just watch, and I'm going to try and get it so where it'll tick over for a long time and it'll just be fine. Bear in mind I haven't actually got any steering to the left because I've got an issue with the steering, so I've got to go right all the time. Some of you always ask why I always turn right. That's the reason. It don't steer left very well.
I was thinking of buying one of these cars.
Oh yeah.
Get both the dogs in as they get bigger. See if there's enough room in the back. There would be, wouldn't there, with that shelf up?
Oh yeah. Big dog in there.
Yeah, both of these.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, look down.
Yeah, I recall saying
Yeah.
dogs in there.
The seats fold down as well, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and they go forward on the slide.
All right, lovely. That's all I want to know. No, good down. Come on, good play.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
random man there was asking about my car, my real car, the one that you're sitting in now. He wants to buy one. He wanted to have his dogs in it. Anyway, I reckon that's close enough now. Don't forget, we're not aiming for perfection. This isn't a video trying to tell you lot how to get it to be perfect. It's trying to tell you lot, the ones that are struggling to get their cars to even run well enough to be able to use and enjoy it. I'm trying to help you to be able to just get it to where you can use it, you know. There's no need to mess around trying to get it perfect, because no engine will ever be perfect. I don't know whether you can see that. You can see that there now. She's sitting there, she's ticking over, she's running well. What more could you ask for? Let's see what happens if I just punch the throttle now. She'll either stall or she'll go. One or the other. Let's see. Bit rich. But, to be honest, you've got to remember that it's not perfect. The engine's a bit worn. So, you've got to tune for the way the engine is. And I know that engine's a bit worn. So, we're going to let that go. What we could do with a slight richen up on that low speed actually. What you're looking for, another thing is you've got to remember, sorry, all the knowledge I suppose, it comes out slowly sometimes. The conveyor belt's a bit slow in the brain. You've got to remember that two-stroke engines, they will block up with oil if you're leaving the tick over. That's why you see people rev them all the time, to get them cleared out. That would be another reason why it was a bit slow off the mark now. So what you want to look for, if you turn around, I'll do it for you. If you turn around and you aim straight and you punch the throttle, it should just go, a little hesitation, not a lot. And then when you come back again and you stop, the tick over, it should just tick over. All this single stage and two-stage tick overs, I'm not interested in. There's no difference whatsoever. Do whatever you want. As long as it ticks over, that's the only thing that matters. Here we go. What more could you ask for? I'd say that's alright. In a minute it'll probably go, there you go. Now some people would call that a two-stage tick over. We can get rid of that if we really want to get rid of it. I lowered the tick over slightly, but I'm not bothered about that. That's the stuff that does not need to be worried about. Standing start, punch the throttle, full throttle, see what happens. Happy days. Happy days. There she is, running like a dream. There we go. Nice smooth tick over. Running out of fuel now though, so we're going to call it come to an end. She'll run out in a minute. Now, as I said, a couple of things you've got to remember. Two-stroke engines, they will, if you do leave them to tick over for any length of time, they will start to block up. The oil will collect in the bottom of the block where the crankshaft is. So You know, a lot of people, they leave them to tick over and then they punch the throttle, and then when it's a bit rich and a bit sluggish to go, they think they've got to adjust the tuning. Well, that's not true. Not always. Look at this now. It's just sitting there as happy as can be, ticking over. It's going to run out of nitro in a minute. What more could you ask for? When this runs out, I'll give you a recap on what I've done. Here we go. And that's it. That was a good day. So, just as a little bit of a recap then, some of the things that you need to think about, okay? So for those of you that may have got a little bit lost, hopefully you didn't, because I tried to do that in such a way that everyone could follow, because this is aimed more at the people who don't, probably new to Nitro, or have had Nitro for a while, but they might have a bit of struggle trying to get their MP9 or whatever it is to run. This isn't specific to an MP9, it's any Nitro engine, but a little bit of a recap now, just to go over it again. This is your high speed needle, and down in there on your throttle is your low speed. If you have a mid speed, it'll be there where that blanking plate is there. So if you've got a screw there, that's your mid speed. Generally, don't bother touching that. So what we done was turn that screw in a quarter of a turn each time. Now, a quarter of a turn, let me get my screwdriver. Some people seem to do it in hours, which is bizarre. Just do it bloody quarters. I mean, you will learn fractions in school. So a quarter of a turn is that, okay? Quarter of a turn rich. Quarter of a turn, sorry. Quarter of a turn rich. Quarter of a turn, bloody, I've done it again. A quarter of a turn lean, a quarter of a turn rich. Alright? So left, left, that way, is to richen. That way is to lean. Bloody hell. Make sure I'm telling you the right stuff, because my bloody brain gets it round the wrong way sometimes. Anyway. So yeah, it's extremely simple in that regards, and all you need to do is listen and watch. None of this measuring temperatures, that's completely unnecessary. You don't need to do all that. A lot of people do that, in case you're wondering. Engines in general, they do have a temperature, an operating temperature, an optimal temperature of what they run at. You know, it's about 90 degrees for an actual full-size engine, like your one in your car or whatever. They stick to around about 90 degrees. You know, thermostats open at about 86, somewhere around there. But normally about 90 degrees is operating running temperature. For a Nitro engine, it's a little bit warmer than that, but you don't need to worry about it. You know, people that sit there with temperature guns and measuring the temperature after every go up and down the car park, they do that because it makes them feel like they're a bit more, I don't know, knowledgeable, professional. I don't really know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But you've got to remember that the hobby is what you want to make it. So if you want to use a temperature gun, you can. Yeah, you can use a temperature gun. Don't ask me what temperature to measure to, because I don't have a clue, because I don't really care. But if you want to use a temperature gun in order to tune your engine, but I can't understand how that kind of stuff really works, because the temperature of an engine changes all the time. It'll never stay at the same temperature. I see people, they measure to a certain temperature and they go, right, it's that temperature, now that means it's tuned. Bollocks, absolute bollocks, because you know the temperature will change. You go up, you go down the road, and the temperature will change. You come back again, the temperature will change again. It'll either get hotter or colder. And another myth that people seem to think, which is completely untrue, they also seem to think that if you leave it to tick over, so for example, let's just say for example you've started up your car, yeah, your Nitro car, you've started it up, you've put it on the ground, right, and your mate over there is trying to start his one, but you've left your one sitting there ticking over, right. Now a lot of people say don't leave it ticking over because it'll overheat, it'll get too hot and it'll overheat. Bollocks. When an engine is ticking over, now we've got to bear in mind that there's sufficient cooling, all right, there's sufficient airflow around the engine, because as we know Nitro engines are air cooled, so providing that there's sufficient, so if it's just sitting as that is there now, that is considered sufficient cooling, so it won't heat up. If anything, in fact, it will cool down. Yeah, ticking over, as Americans call it, idling, cools the engine down, alright, it doesn't make it hotter. A lot of people get it round the wrong way. They think that driving it flat out round a field is going to cool it down because there's airflow, weird, and sitting ticking over or going slow is going to heat it up. It's the other way round. Sitting there ticking over will cool the engine down, yeah. Lower revs means a cooler running engine. Higher revs, you're going flat out around a field, alright, you're going fast, so the airflow is going to be flowing over the head. Because the RPMs are so much higher, the heat will be incredible, it'll be hotter, yeah. So it's another myth, people get it round the wrong way. Now obviously it goes without saying, if the engine's ticking over and there's no airflow around the head, say you've got a body show on and it's a really hot day, it will get hot, it will slowly start to rise. But that's only in those conditions. I'm talking about in ordinary conditions, just leaving it to tick over. It's not going to get hot, it will cool down. So if you think, for example, that your engine's getting a bit hot when you're going around a track or wherever you're going, and you think the engine's a bit hot, all you got to do is just stop and let it tick over, and it'll cool down. But one of the worst things you can do if your engine's a bit hot is to stop it, because then it's just going to, well, it will just get hot spots within the engine, in the liner and on the piston. You just get hot spots. God, went on a little bit there, didn't I? But I think things like that are important, because I see people with myths. They think myths are true, but they're not. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, you lot. Appreciate every single one of you being here. I'm going to pack all this away now and go on and get on with my lovely Sunday. I've had requests for tuning a Savage, so the next time we'll get the Savage out here and we'll tune a Savage. So but it's all much the same thing. So if you don't want to wait for that, just apply the stuff that I've just told you about tuning to the Savage that you've got, if you've got a Savage, or any other Nitro engine. Yeah, they're all the same with regards to tuning. Obviously they might get some specialty ones or some different ones. They do require a little bit more different things or whatever. But in general, all it is a carbureted engine. Just because it runs on Nitro doesn't mean it's any different. It's a carbureted engine. Treat it the same as you would a petrol engine. Yeah, and it'll be fine. So I'll catch you on the next one. All the best. Thanks for being here. And any questions, put them in the comments. And cheerio. I forgot to mention, by the way, so hopefully a lot of you are watching to the end, because I forgot to mention this. Remember, in the winter, the engine will need more fuel, alright, so it'll have to be richer. So that's why if you last run the car in the summer when it was hot, and now you get it out in the winter and it seems to be lean and you're getting annoyed with it, just remember, when it's colder outside, it'll need more fuel, which is why petrol engines need a choke to start in the winter. And in the summer it'll use less fuel. Just thought I'd add that in there. And also, you can tune on a bench. You see people put them on the bench and they rev them up and do a bench tune, as they call it. That's fine, you can do that, but when an engine is under load, for example when it's on the floor and it's driving itself along, it will need more fuel. When an engine's under load, it needs more fuel in order to make the power. When the engine's got no load, if it's on a bench just revving up and the wheels are going around freely, you probably better tune it fine and it will sound nice and look nice, blah blah blah. You put it on the ground, it'll be lean, because it needs more fuel in order to power itself along. Anyway, thought I'd add that in. I was thinking about it on the way home and I thought I'd pull over and I'll mention that. Anyway, cheerio again, you lot. All the best. And if you have any success, put it in the comments. Don't have success, you've got questions, put it in the comments. Me and everyone else will help you out. and have a nice life.